Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is the story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories. So subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Permitting agent for the village allowed the incorporated homeowner to fill his lot, affecting the drainage, which caused the unincorporated lot to flood every time there was anything more than light rain. I decided to take this case. The second story. My manager was a D-head, so I quit and now make more than him. They lost hundreds of dollars. The third story. Creepy old uncle abuses massive chain email list for years. I blow him up for his past harassment on the same list. And the first story is, it is a really bad idea to make a government employee angry. This one is a double government employee event, and what you should know is if you get the attention of a government employee and make them angry, they'll make your life a living hell. The setup is that I was working for a local county government in the permitting department that handled drainage and floodplain enforcement. I received a complaint from a homeowner. Nice guy. Lived next door to a house that was part of an incorporated village. Not nice guy. Nice guy lived in an unincorporated portion of the county, and hence the call to me as an agent of the county. I drove out of the site and to investigate and discovered some interesting facts. The permitting agent for the village allowed the incorporated homeowner to fill his lot, affecting the drainage, which caused the unincorporated lot to flood every time there was anything more than light rain. Nice guy indicated that there was some tension between him and not nice guy. This ran up a red flag for me, but in trying to be impartial, I took the information and some photos for the file, and indicated that I would contact the village to find a resolution. I wrote a letter and then called the village inspector, Jack Wagon, to discuss. I was told by Jack Wagon that the village could do as it pleased, and that I could do nothing to stop not nice guy from doing as they pleased, as it was approved by the village. There was then a comment about those type of people making complaints just to cause trouble. I was now on the case, and it was time to make sure everything done on the incorporated lot was 100% legal. At this point, the game certainly was now on, because if there is one thing that grinds my gears, it is bullying. I went back out and spoke to Nice Guy to let them know what I was up to, and also that I was not going to let this slide. I then started investigating the elevations on the 2 lots, and what fill had been placed on the incorporated lot. The not nice guy came out and started getting belligerent about my presence and ongoing investigation. He incorrectly stated that I did not have jurisdiction over his lot, and that he would be calling the police. I patiently listened, and then pulled out my 2-way radio and requested that the home base dispatch both a village and a county police unit to the location. I then indicate that since there was a regulatory floodplain on his lot, I did in fact have jurisdiction, and that I would be exercising my right to determine the impact of his fill activities upon that floodplain. Both of the police units showed up and I let them know what was going on. They were both appropriately agitated to have to waste their time, and let not nice guy know that I was within my authority to proceed with the investigation. A little while later, while I was measuring things, Jack Wagon showed up. He started berating me about harassing the village resident, and threatening calling my boss and filing a complaint and so forth. I invited him to do so, quoting which parts of the code he should indicate I was violating. I was using marking paint to show the limits of the floodplain for the photos for the file, and what do you know, Jack Wagon's shoe got painted when he tried to stop me. Obviously, he was even more angry, as was the homeowner, due to very bright orange paint in the grass in his yard. I pointed out I had done the same on the neighboring lots, but they just kept complaining. It was actually marking chalk that comes off pretty easily. Interestingly, I found 2 really wrong things on not nice guy's lot. 1, there was fill placed in the floodplain, and 2, a garden shed was built on the fill, and partially within the floodplain. Both are a big no-no, and are actually against federal law. So the course of action had 2 parts. 1, make the incorporated homeowner remove the fill and shed from the floodplain, and 2, let nice guy place fill in their lot outside of the floodplain, to counteract the fill remaining in not nice guy's lot outside of the floodplain. I also told nice guy it would be a good idea to run a field tile on their side, to drain the water that would inevitably pond up between the 2 lots when it rained. Predictably, not nice guy and Jack Wagon got super angry when I sent the letter out that there were violations, that either had to be corrected. Remove fill and shed, or apply for a revision of the floodplain with the Army Corps of Engineers. Good luck with that. This then led to a meeting at the county office with not nice guy, Jack Wagon, my supervisor, and myself. Quickly things went to 11, and there was yelling by Jack Wagon about abuse of power, etc. The department head came into the conference room and told them both they were wrong, that they should leave peacefully and comply or face the consequences. Fines. The best part was that not nice guy had to apply for a permit, and guess who was the one to review and approve it? That's right, yours truly. Now I was following the letter of the law, but you have to know that poor government workers are underpaid and overworked. Strangely, the permit for Nice Guy was almost immediately approved, while Not Nice Guy had to have a very thorough review to ensure it was correct. You could make a case I was abusing my power, but I can assure you that the timing for their review was well within acceptable limits. Also, how could I be held to account that they misfiled 3 times before they finally got it right? Generally, if you behaved like a civil human and came to the office, we would help you get things done properly, so the permit would go through the first time, but Not Nice Guy decided he could do it all on his own, so it took him 3 tries. Had he come to the office, I would have given him the same service as others, but he decided to take the hard route, and therefore I didn't give a single inch when it came to the submission being perfectly correct. Ultimately, the situation was resolved, but it took a lot more effort than it should have. Edit. In the US, we have building codes which include grading and drainage. In this case, the issue was between the city and the county. The city has jurisdiction over the incorporated area, and the county the unincorporated. Additionally, in this case, the USA COE is given the authority to manage regulatory floodplains and wetlands, which can and was assigned to the county government. As to the assets or payroll for inspections, it's called property taxes as well as permit fees. The next story is, Go home, we don't need you. A few years ago, I was down on my luck and decided to work for a nationwide pizza chain. I had worked there at various locations and in every position, off and on since I was a teen. At this point, I was 30, so I figured my 15 years of experience should count for something. After a few months of working, I asked how I could move up to manager. Seeing as how I was just as, if not more knowledgeable than the current managers, I thought I would be a shoo-in. I was told by the regional manager that once I got a vehicle of my own, he would promote me. I found a place that would take a small down payment and lease me a car with an outrageous interest rate. I was desperate to get on my feet, and as long as the job was legit, I'd struggle all I had to in order to eventually make it up the ladder. I became a manager and immediately felt like a fool. Apparently, managers only get a $1 raise, and are now expected to put up with way more crap than that $1 afforded. We had to clean the entire store on closing shift, sometimes be there until 4 a.m., etc. I was bamboozled, but it was fine. I was on a mission to escape the street life I grew up in, as I refused to ever sell prohibited substances again. Anyway, about a year into my manager position comes our busiest day of the year. That's right, Super Bowl Sunday. All messages were scheduled to come in at 9 a.m. in order to prep. I arrived promptly and begin the prep tasks. Being on time is something I pride myself in, but I know my coworkers are often late, so I assumed they were just a few minutes behind. Unfortunately, the next manager did not come in until 10 a.m., and was clearly hungover to the point he was no help at all. Each subsequent manager came in 1 hour after another, until all 4 of us were finally there. At this point, I was a little upset and exhausted, but whatever, I'm a team player. We just did our jobs and kept it moving. The entire day was busy with little to no break time. If you've ever worked pizza on a Super Bowl Sunday, you can imagine the SH show I'm describing. Phones ringing off the hook, ovens packed to the brim, carry-out lobby full. My coworkers and I were like a well-oiled machine. We knew how to work with each other very well. No mistakes, no late orders. Busy as hell, but we got this. Then enters the regional manager, Jeff. Jeff and I knew each other since we were teens, as we had both started with the company around the same time. He hasn't worked in a busy store in years. His primary role is to check in at various stores and ensure they had what they needed. But of course, he wanted to jump in and assist us. SMH. Jeff immediately begins dropping food on the floor, packing orders in wrong boxes, routing deliveries improperly, and just about anything else he could do wrong. It was annoying, but we couldn't say anything. Jeff would blame us rather than admit he was effing up. At some point, I decided I could take a few puffs from my cigarette at the back of the store. After all, I'd now been here 12 hours with no break. A cigarette would take the same time as if I went to take a dump, so why not? I literally took 2 puffs and threw my cigarette out, because I heard the phone ring and wanted to help. When I turned around, Jeff was staring at me like I just effed his wife or something. Before I could say anything, he said, "Oh yeah? Get the F out of here. We don't need you." Mind you, this was 2 hours before the end of my shift. I was the only person here on time. 12 hours with no break and made no mistakes at all. On top of that, I was scheduled to open the store the next morning. I simply replied, "Sure, Jeff, no worries." I went home and planned my revenge. When I came in the next morning, I put my store key on the manager desk with a handwritten note. "I'm no longer needed here. I quit." I took a picture on my phone and sent it to my coworkers who I knew would still be sleeping. No one knew until a few hours after the store was supposed to be open. They lost hundreds of dollars. I quickly found a better job with more pay and less responsibility. Today I make triple what I made then. Apparently he still brings me up years later, claiming that my mommy must be taking care of me. Haha. The last story is, I told you to take me off of your chain emails, you old creep. I have a huge broken family that's unnecessarily close and totally dysfunctional. My great step-uncle, let's call him John, is a constant feature in my life, as well as a cast of other characters who could all get their own posts. John is an a-hole. He's 90, but he's still sharp as a tack, which he uses to push his bizarre views on everyone he meets, forever. His weapon of choice is the chain email, which he uses to great effect. John has used this chain email to do everything from push his healthcare plan he wrote, spoiler, no one is covered, to his crackpot inventions for perpetual energy to talking about personal family details, to spreading racist and sexist ideas to everyone in his Rolodex. I'm not talking racist and sexist 2019 let's debate this racist and sexist. I'm talking women should be seen and not heard, and black people were better off as slaves. Nice guy. After 3 years of receiving these, he got my email from my LinkedIn page. I begged him to remove me from the list, as I was getting emails from him daily, and I'd rather not block him. He refused, saying that he was opening my mind. I was too sensitive, and that if I didn't like them, I didn't have to read them. Last week, he decided to send me and my brother a rough draft of his book through LinkedIn direct message, asking for comments. He doesn't want comments. I found this strange. Why not send it to the email list? Well, I decided to read the book, and it turns out that the reason he didn't send it to his list is because it's the most bizarre, sickening commentary on harassment I've ever read. He wanted me to validate if it was normal before he sent to his publisher. He doesn't have one. My little brother was so upset by it that he told me he never wanted to speak to John again. To avoid boring you with the details, his thesis is that women want to be abused. John has been divorced 4 times. The most interesting part was a little biographical section about things he had done that would constitute harassment in 2019. Not little stuff, bad stuff, like a secretary who worked for him. He's a doctor, who repeatedly told him no and actually quit the job because he wouldn't stop trying. Told as a humorous anecdote. He had another in there about trying to hook up with one of his patients. They always tell on themselves. So I gave him what he asked for. I gave a full scorched earth review of his manuscript, pulling out key quotes and burning it to the ground for being anachronistic garbage. I paid careful attention to the biographical details, calling out the harassment for what it is. Could I have sent it to him over LinkedIn DM? Sure. Did John pay me that courtesy when he used the chain email list to tell everyone he knew that my dad was out of work, causing great embarrassment? No. So I did what John would have done. I replied all to his chain email list with my full review. Everyone from his neighbor to his kids to his ex-wife to his dentist got to see who the old man really is. While I doubt anyone was surprised, he's super A-grabby and creepy. Seeing it in his own words surprised a lot of people. The response was pandemonium. All sorts of people started arguing over the harassment, mostly furious with John. Pleasantly surprising to me. I've since been removed from the chain email list along with my brother. He's 90 and lives alone in the middle of nowhere. He won't face any consequences. But I'm really looking forward to seeing John at Passover now. I hope you love these stories. Subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Have a good day.